Father Sebastian. Man, I consume energy by being around people, and it makes me feel better. So y'all don't have to, but I'm gonna turn my camera on for the sake of friendliness. You
No,
know,
that's cool.
forgive my shirtlessness. I just got home from work.
No, yeah, that's cool, brother. That's cool. Yeah, I didn't mean
Yo,
to.
yo, yo.
How's it going, Cora?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody off.
No, you're
Pleasure
good.
meeting you, Rue. How you been?
It's been a long fucking day. I tell you what, making shit
Yeah.
money, working shit hours.
But yeah, man. I guess I'm just extremely interested in just the vampiric culture and just the lifestyle, right? Which is
So,
essentially. Mhm.
so you want to know like the culture and lifestyle, like the people who like dress up, go out and do shit like dressed as vampires, not just like. I guess. Do you want just like a general overview, or?
Well, I mean, so the clothing and just the aesthetics, like I'm pretty familiar with, right? Just kind of
Yeah,
gothic style type of.
yeah.
Uh,
Because in the beginning, the living vampire community was originally a subsect of the goth community, and like once like vampire movies started picking up, people were basically like, "Hey, it'd be really cool if I dressed like a vampire and went out and did cool vampire shit." And then
right,
eventually, yeah, it just morphed into what it is nowadays, which honestly, half the time, I don't even fucking know what people are doing half the time.
right. So
I'm,
So,
go ahead, Core.
yeah, I did have a question. So, when you say you don't know what people are doing half the time, I think it would be the easiest to ask you, like, what are you doing half the time? You know what I mean? Like, it's a.
well, so before we get too deep into anything, I should probably specify I have what many in the community would consider some very unorthodox views, but I also hold some like very like vampire traditional views, and I'm also some of the people in the past that have heard like my personal views on vampirism and such have considered me to be somewhat of a an extremist would probably be the nicest way I can put it. So I should probably start out with I am an exception to the rule. Like part of it's just vampirism is such an individualistic thing. Like more specifically in America, it's a very individualistic thing, and the American side of things is very much more about like identity and like identity politics and shit.
Yeah, I don't think I'm really concerned with the identity politics as much as I am the, you mentioned you're very traditional vampiric and you don't really look at it so much as like the clothing and the lifestyle and the makeup and the acting. It's more
For
of
me,
a.
with the traditional views are more so on like what a vampire is. Like I have more traditional views because like you ask 100 different people in the community what a vampire is, you'll get 100 different fucking answers. Because
That's how
like I
it's been
said,
so far.
the American side of things really fucked shit up with the whole identity and like what is a vampire and all that. Like I stick to just kind of the traditional goth shit, like I got the fucking the red sunglasses and all that, I wear my sunglasses at night and all that shit, and I've got like, well, I used to have a trench coat and shit. Like I definitely take on the more traditional like goth side of things, but I
Oh
am
yeah.
pushing to expand that a bit. I wanna introduce vampire greasers to the world.
Yeah, that'd be sick. When you think of what a vampire is, could you define that to me, like from what you believe?
To me, a vampire is anybody that drinks blood and has the craving for blood. And it's not the best way to describe the cravings, especially from my perspective. It's not a craving like, I could really go for some blood right now. No, it is more so, it starts to feel like you literally have something trying to crawl out of your skin and claw its way out. It is not a pleasant experience. I can describe it as there have been, especially when I still worked overnights, there would be nights where I could feel like my muscles were like trying to detach from my fucking bones. And I would start like sizing people up and be like, all right, who could I like tackle down and get some fucking blood out of? There are very specific struggles that come with drinking like human blood that you do not see anywhere else in the vampire community, except for like the few extremists that go like full cannibal with it. It's a screening process basically. The way I do it, and part of why I'm considered a bit more extreme in my views, is because of how I locate donors is I will specifically find people with a history of mental illness. It's not, and this is all gonna make me sound like a real shitty person because it's a real shitty thing to do to people, but that's life. Can't fucking repent for it or whatever. But I find someone who I have a good rapport with who has a history of mental illness, male or female, doesn't really matter to me. And then you figure out how into it. Especially helps if they're really into like witchcraft and shit. Some of my favorite donors have been little witchy girls who are like, I have a vial of my friend's blood around my neck or whatever. Those ones are very easy to get to be your donor because most of them have histories of self-harm and they're already accustomed to collecting their own blood. So makes it so much fucking easier. And then on top
how
of
are
that,
you going about finding this? Discord communities, real life, bars, nightclubs?
Real life, you just go out and do shit. I've met some of my donors have been met at work, some of them have been met at the bar, some just at various social events. Like there are a surprising, well, I shouldn't say surprising. There is a very large number of people who very easily get off on the idea of someone else drinking their blood. The majority of people do it out of fetish, but like some people who are in like committed relationships with vampires, like for them it's just part of their relationship as they give their partner their blood. For others, it's like a spiritual thing, almost, a mortification of the flesh.
Sure,
and
yeah.
Giving yourself to, granted, usually the people that see it this way are pretty fucking mentally ill, but giving yourself to a higher power or whatever for the people who worship vampires or whatever.
Sure. And so, how long have you felt like a vampire? Has this been a lifelong thing? You were born this way?
Let's see. Well, I've always had a history of violence, but and I've always been interested in cannibalism to a certain extent. But I didn't really start actually focusing on it until I was 18, and I started studying like magic and shit. Because I mean, let's face it, no sane, rational individual, more specifically sane and rational by general societal standards, no one like that, like no normie is gonna want to be like friends with someone who just openly drinks blood. So that's one of those. For the people that have felt it from a very young age, because there are people who have felt it like since childhood, but even like as you get older, if you understand, like my explanation for it is like, well, I looked at these cravings that I started developing. I looked at how my body was reacting to said cravings and such, and I just decided like, wow, these cravings, because like society doesn't accept them, then they must be part of the shadow self. And Carl Jung teaches us that we have to accept our shadow self, otherwise it will consume us.
Okay, and so how much blood are you consuming if you were to gauge it yearly?
Yearly? Let's see, a shot is 2 ounces, right?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, roughly 4. So 4 weeks to a month on average. Fucking what's 18 times 12? I can't fucking think right now. I'm too high.
What is that, 216? 200? 220 something?
Yeah, 216 ounces a year. I have no idea how much that is in cups or gallons or whatnot. Or generally, I do about a shot glass like a week on average, sometimes every 2 weeks, depending on who the donor is and like how their body responds to. Because of course, like, I'm not a monster. I'm not gonna collect blood from somebody who, like, you can tell just by looking at them, like, you should not be giving fucking any kind of fluid right now, blood or otherwise. Or like, if it's somebody like because usually the way there's people who use needles. I'm not trained to use needles. I don't have good enough eyesight, or plus I don't have the hand dexterity for like needle usage. But for like the cutting method of collecting blood, literally just anywhere you're not going to hit an artery, and you just kind of hold it over a shot. I just put like a dash of wine in the shot glass to keep the blood from coagulating right away, and then you just basically kind of milk the wound into the shot glass. As weird as that sounds, I would genuinely consider drinking somebody's blood more intimate than sex. And like, I already consider sex pretty intimate, but like for somebody to have the trust in you to give you their blood, for you to drink it, knowing that you're not going to like come back and just like fucking murder them or some shit, or fucking go Jeffrey Dahmer on them or whatever. Like, for somebody to have that trust in you, that for me, that is a very like sacred thing. Like you don't fuck with that.
What would you say the most you've ever paid for a shot of blood is?
$200.
Okay.
Interesting.
And do you feel any way when you consume a shot of blood? Is there a
Oh god, yeah. I see when I consume blood, it's basically like I just drank like or not even six, like 8 fucking shots of espresso. Like it is a huge fucking rush. And it generally lasts about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much I drank. And I've never drank more than I'd say probably about 2-3 shots. Yeah, because that was a party. Yeah, it's about 2-3 shots was the most I've drank at one time. So I can't speak for like, the motherfuckers that are like, I bathe in blood or whatever.
So 3 shots of blood for the next 10 minutes, how would you act? Is that something that you could...
I would just be like, the thing is, I've already got ADHD, so like I'm already bouncing off the fucking walls most of the time, especially if I'm not taking my ADHD meds. But fucking like you know how those videos of like crackheads outside 7-Eleven that are like, yeah, I got this t-shirt business and I'm selling clocks, and fucking like they're talking at like 100 fucking words a second. Like that's
Right.
how it's literally like just taking a shot of fucking crack, dude.
And so I think that having the physical dependency, or at least the mental dependency that tells your body you do need this, is that's something you developed upon trying it, or did it just hit you one day like, hey, maybe this would fix it?
I feel like for some people it could definitely be like something that they've just always felt. There's definitely people who talk about like having always felt the need for, blood even when they were like toddlers or whatever, and they describe how they like chew their own lip to draw blood or whatever. For me, it was more so when I first got into the vampire community, I was in like, and of course a lot of people have the same story, but like I was in a very, very deep, dark depression, and I just felt like I just had this giant fucking hole inside of me that just no matter what I did, like I was sleeping around all the time, I was doing shitloads of drugs, I was just fucking acting out, I was being fucking stupid as shit, and fucking I started getting into occult shit, and I started studying more and more, and like at one point I started reading a lot of H.P. Lovecraft because of course I got really into the occult shit. So I read the Necronomicon, and of course, despite the whole book being completely fictional, in it there's a part where Al-Hazred says that when in the desert one must find substance in all things, even the living. And I don't know, I guess I just had a total depressed schizoid moment, and it just was like, guess I just gotta get really into fucking vampires and start drinking blood, and that'll make me feel better.
And that's what you did from that point. Yeah, I think that when it gets to the point of transforming or like amalgamating yourself or creating this some sort of,
that's where I draw a line, because there's a lot of people in the vampire community who genuinely believe that they can transform, or they genuinely believe that they are, a couple thousand years old, a couple of reincarnations down the line and shit. And they're like, oh yeah, my first life, I remember being a vampire lord in a castle. And it's just like, all right, buddy, fucking live your fantasy or whatever. But like, I draw the line at that where I'm just like I'm a vampire. I'm just a dude. I'm a mentally ill individual that drinks blood. Excuse me.
Has there ever been a time in your life where a donor wasn't prevalent, or they weren't easily accessible? Like what extremes would you go for a fix? I would be curious.
That back in the day, like when I first got really into it, and like for me it was like this huge spiritual thing where I was just like, yeah, I have a vampire soul or whatever, when it was deeply rooted in like the esoteric bullshit. Like back then, I probably would have actually fucking stabbed somebody just to get some blood. At that time, I would have easily stabbed somebody for even just like a taste of fucking blood. I'm a vampire.
Yeah, how did you overcome that? It was just a mental, like a rationale thing, or?
It was just a necessity thing, basically. I had to quit being a fucking child about it. I got really used to, when I first got into it, I got really used to having easy access to blood. And then once I didn't have that access, like I could feel, like my brain and body were like lashing out at me. And literally, like I just realized, I was like, dude, I gotta quit being a fucking child about this. Like there's still every once in a while where I'll get like I'll have a bad night and I'll just have like a particularly strong craving where I'll get that like the best way I can describe it is it feels like someone has dug their fingers under your shoulder blade while it is still attached to you. Like just that in both of my shoulders, just like I said, completely fucking flexed up for no fucking reason. Like I still get nights like that every once in a while, but like nowhere fucking near as bad as like when I first got into it. I guess at this point for me, it's mostly just a kink thing. That's the best way I could say it, because it is hot. Like if you want to fuck a vampire, having a dude that actually identifies as one by to be the one supplying that fetish, it's pretty fucking hot. So. I guess, yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of a kinkster. God, I'm a fucking poser. I'm not even a real fucking vampire anymore. God damn it. Fuck me. All right. That's life.
You've come to the realization that you're actually not a vampire right here.
Yeah, no, I'm just mentally ill.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah,
right,
I can
that's-
give you a little background on
yeah.
who we are. We actually run a paranormal investigation show, and
Oh,
like I
fuck
said,
yeah.
yeah, we've talked to a lot of subsexing communities as well as sort of the fringe of society, if you will, and allow
Yeah.
them to voice their stories and talk about it in a comfortable environment and be able to speak about anything that they want to talk about. And we're in it just for the collection of information, just to learn
Yeah,
more.
yeah, I respect that.
Curiosity.
Knowledge for knowledge's sake, yeah.
Sure.
I fuck with that.
Would you mind if I used any of your information on the vampire community?
Nah, I don't give a shit.
Okay, do you want your name on it, or do you want your name out of it, or?
Sure, I don't care.
Okay, yeah. If you could give me just a brief synopsis of what you've learned through being a vampire, what the vampire community is based around, and just what to look out for, what to avoid, what to do if you think you are a vampire, who to reach out to, etc. The floor is yours.
All right. The things I've learned from being in the vampire community is, at the end of the day, no matter what your weird thing is, however weird you are as a person, like there is a community out there for you. It doesn't matter if you're into, cannibalism, zero sugar mode, or, or you think you're a werewolf or whatever. Like there's a community out there for you, and you just got to find it. As for like what to do if you think you may be a vampire, like if you feel a craving for blood or shit, if you feel a craving even to like specifically consume energy, like by all means, follow that path. Just see where it leads you. You might not be a vampire at the end, and you might just be kind of a weirdo. But what's wrong with that? It's just important to explore that and figure out who you are as a person and where you stand. And if you're looking for that, the vampire community is definitely a great place. Again, if you feel the urge, because there's definitely some bad actors in the communities. Like there's quite a few cults. There's quite a few wannabe cult leaders. Like there's a lot of people that are just really into manipulating others and using it to abuse them. Like you gotta be very careful about like who you associate with. If you're looking for a good starting spot, I would definitely check out the or Project V on Discord.
It's very well spoken. And on an ending note, would you give me just your most vampire look?
Hold on. I'll do it. I'll do it for the vine. Hold on, fucking, I'm retarded. There we go. Doesn't help that I got a weirdly shaped skull. All right, well, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for letting me
buddy.
Let me thank you.
And what is your name exactly?
Gebo Uruz. It's Elder Futhak runes for the Gifted Bull.
And that'll take it, guys. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. Keep vamping.
Yeah, no problem.